The Painter's Secret. Golden afternoon light spilled over Millbrook's cobblestone square as villagers gathered to watch old Elias unveil his newest painting, a shimmering view of the hills at sunrise, so real you could almost feel the morning breeze. A traveling merchant stepped forward and placed a heavy pouch of gold coins into the old painter's hands. The crowd gasped. That was more gold than most families in Millbrook saw in a whole year. At the edge of the square, Thomas the cobbler stood holding his daughter Sophia's small hand, dust from a long, hard day still on his boots. He watched the coins disappear into Elias's satchel, and something tired and worried inside him finally broke free. "Another bag of gold, Elias," Thomas called out. The square fell silent. "That's more than I earn in a whole year," he said, quieter now, but every word landing heavy. "You have all this gold, and when winter comes, and the poor of this village have nothing. None of it ever reaches us. You don't help the poor with your money." Every eye turned to the old painter. Elias looked at Thomas for a long moment. He opened his mouth as if to answer, then closed it again. "Perhaps you're right, Thomas," he said softly. "Perhaps I don't." He turned and walked into his small stone cottage, leaving the square buzzing with whispers. Sophia tugged her father's sleeve. "Papa? Why did he look so sad?" Thomas had no answer, but the truth was closer than anyone in Millbrook could imagine. Millbrook was a small village, tucked between green hills and a slow silver stream, where every rooftop curled with chimney smoke, and everyone knew everyone's name. Old Elias had lived there longer than most could remember, arriving one autumn with nothing but a paint box and a kind smile. Though his paintings sold for more gold than anyone could imagine, he lived simply, in a small stone cottage, with a garden of wildflowers he tended himself. Every market day, something wonderful happened at Butcher Godfrey's shop. Families who couldn't afford meat of their own always found a fresh, generous portion waiting for them, wrapped and ready, free of charge. Nobody quite remembered when it had started. It was simply how things had always been in Millbrook. That very evening, Thomas and Sophia stopped by Godfrey's shop, and sure enough, a warm parcel waited on the counter for them. "Why does Butcher Godfrey always give us meat for free, Papa?" Sophia asked, swinging the parcel happily as they walked home. Thomas shrugged, still thinking of the painter's strange, sad face. "I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe he's just a kind man. It's simply how it's always been." Neither of them noticed Godfrey watching them go, a quiet, knowing look on his weathered face. By the next morning, word of what Thomas had said spread through Millbrook like ripples on a pond. At the village well, opinions bubbled just as fast as the water. "He fixed old Widow Callan's roof last winter and wouldn't take a single coin for it," said one neighbor, filling her bucket. "But he's never once given to the harvest fund," another argued. "Not a single coin in all these years." Nobody could quite agree on who old Elias really was. Inside his cottage, Elias sat quietly at his table, a small leather ledger and a pouch of coins before him. Though what they were for, the story does not yet say. His eyes looked tired, not angry, just heavy, like a man carrying something he could not put down. A soft knock came at the door. It was Sophia, holding a mended scarf her mother had knitted for him. "Mr. Elias," she said, peeking inside, "is it true what Papa said? Don't you help anyone at all?" Elias knelt slowly to meet her eyes. "I help in my own way, little one," he said gently. "Not everyone needs to see kindness, to know it is there." Sophia tilted her head, puzzled. It was the strangest, most curious answer she had ever heard, and she couldn't stop thinking about it all the way home. That night, after supper, Sophia couldn't sleep. Mr. Elias's words kept turning over in her mind, like a puzzle with a missing piece. She crept to her window and spotted a familiar figure walking through the moonlit square. Old Elias, a heavy pouch in his hand, heading straight for Butcher Godfrey's shop. Curiosity pulled her out the door before she could stop herself. She followed at a careful distance, ducking behind a flower cart, and peeked through the shop window. Inside, Godfrey took the pouch from Elias with both hands, his face full of solemn respect. "As long as you wish it, Elias," Godfrey murmured. "Not a soul will hear it from me." "Good," Elias said, managing a small, tired smile. "Let them think what they will of me. It matters not, so long as no child in this village goes hungry." Sophia's heart thudded. She didn't understand everything she had just seen, but she knew she had stumbled onto something important. Something Mr. Elias wanted kept hidden. She tiptoed home and tucked the secret away, like a stone in her pocket, waiting for the day it would finally make sense. Seasons turned, as they always do. Golden autumn became silver winter, and Millbrook's hills bloomed green again each spring. Old Elias grew a little more stooped and a little slower, but every week, rain or shine, he still made his quiet walk to Godfrey's shop. One golden afternoon, Sophia found him painting by the stream and sat beside him, watching the colors bloom across his canvas. "Will you teach me?" she asked shyly. Elias chuckled and handed her a spare brush. "Every painter starts somewhere, little one." By the end of the afternoon, Sophia had more paint on her nose than on her paper, and Elias laughed, a warm, easy sound she had never heard from him before. "You have a good eye, Sophia," he told her, wiping a smudge of blue from her cheek. "Promise me you'll keep painting, even after I'm gone." "Don't say that," Sophia said, frowning. "You're not going anywhere." Elias only smiled and said nothing more. As autumn winds returned once more, old Elias grew too weak to leave his cottage. The village took turns bringing him warm soup and fresh bread, and even Thomas, still uneasy about the words he'd once spoken, found himself standing at the painter's door more evenings than he could explain. One quiet night, beneath a sky full of stars, old Elias closed his eyes and drifted into a peaceful sleep from which he did not wake. The next morning, Millbrook was hushed. Villagers gathered outside the little stone cottage, heads bowed, hearts heavy. Even those who had once doubted him felt an unexpected ache. Thomas stood at the back of the crowd, holding Sophia close, an odd, unfamiliar sorrow tightening his chest. "Papa," Sophia whispered, "why does it hurt to lose someone we thought we didn't really know?" Thomas had no answer. He only held her a little tighter. The following market day, families gathered at Butcher Godfrey's shop as always, but this time the counter was bare. No warm parcel waited. Whispers of worry spread quickly through the line. Thomas made his way to the front, Sophia at his side, and asked Godfrey what had happened. Godfrey's eyes glistened as he reached beneath the counter and brought out a small, worn ledger. "I suppose it's time you knew," he said quietly. "For over 20 years, old Elias paid me. Every single week, so that no family without coin would ever go without meat. He made me promise never to speak his name. Now that he's gone, I haven't the means to give it freely on my own." Thomas stared at the ledger, page after page of neat handwriting, dates and amounts, and at the bottom of each page, the same quiet words. "For the children of Millbrook." His voice broke. "All this time. It was him." Sophia squeezed her father's hand. "I saw him give Godfrey the pouch, Papa. That night, I just didn't understand what it meant." Thomas sank onto the shop's wooden bench, the truth settling over him like a heavy, warm blanket. The very meat that had fed his own daughter for years had come from the man he had accused in front of the whole village of not caring at all. That evening, Thomas walked alone to Elias's small stone cottage, now quiet and empty. He stood in the doorway, turning his hat over in his hands. "I'm sorry," he said softly, to no one and everyone. "I judged you before I understood you." The wind stirred the wildflowers in Elias's garden, as if in answer. The next morning, Thomas gathered the village in the square. "Old Elias gave to us for 20 years and never once asked for thanks," he said, his voice steady now. "I say we finish what he started. Together." One by one, families offered what little they could. A few coins, an hour of work, a basket of vegetables, until Godfrey's counter was full once more. They named it Elias's table, and from that day on, no family in Millbrook went hungry on market day. At the edge of the square, Sophia sat with a paintbrush in hand, the very one Elias had given her, carefully painting a picture of the old cottage and its garden, in full bloom. Kindness, she was beginning to understand, didn't need to be loud to be real. Sometimes, the quietest hearts gave the very most. The end.